shot.
All right, good evening. This is the November 10th, 2020 meeting of the Brighton Conservation Board. I'm Dennis Adams, the chair, and let's have each of you introduce yourselves, please.
Mitch
Start with you
Nellis.
here.
Oh,
Go ahead.
Mitch Nellis, board member.
David, your
Dave-
mute is off.
All right, thank you.
David, do you want to unmute yourself? Okay. I'm Karen Berger, Vice Chair.
George Smith, board member.
Susan Riblett, board member.
All right, well, I'm not sure what we're gonna do about David, but yeah, we know you're here, David.
Oh, there we go. I finally got unmuted.
Ah,
There we
good.
go.
Yeah,
Alrighty.
all right. So do we have any public forum this evening? All right. I'll ask for an approval of the minutes of the October 13th meeting.
So
All
moved.
in favor? Yep. Are we all in favor of those minutes?
I think
Yes.
everybody gave a hands up on that.
All right. Okay, good. All right. So the first project review I have here is 11P0130. Approval of Loyal Group, REM owner, demolition review and approval. Raise the commercial building at 1285 East Henrietta Road.
If you guys aren't familiar with this project or this property, it basically, even though it has a East Henrietta Road address, it really sits on Town Line Road, and it kind of sits over East Henrietta Road. It's used to be a former MCC property, which I think they did the auto repair, mechanical classes in there. It has been sold a couple times in the past. There has been a few projects proposed for this site. Nothing has panned out. And currently, they want to just go in there and remove the building with no proposed replacement at this time.
Comments?
When they say remove it, are they just leveling it, grading it, leaving it, gravel, or restoring it in
according-
any way?
Yeah, according to their notes, Mitch, they are seeding the areas that they are removing. So the area where the actual building is, and some of the other concrete areas that they're removing, it looks like they're going to seed it. I don't really know what the purpose at that point is, because then you just have a grass patch and a asphalt property. We have kind of gotten ourselves in a little bit of issues when that has happened in the past. But that's what they're proposing at this time. They're not proposing to rip up the entire site. Just the area where the buildings sit.
Can you clarify what kind of issues you mean when you say you've had issues in the past?
Well, you end up having almost like a little weed field in the middle of an asphalt area, and then trying to get people to maintain that grass weed field because it's surrounded by asphalt. Sometimes it's hard to keep it from a property maintenance aspect kept properly.
Is the grass that we're seeing here, though, grass that they're already mowing on that property?
I would think so. Yeah, it's hard to say because this property, when you look at it, there's a lot of land around it that is the state right away. So a lot of the property that you're seeing from the picture isn't really on this particular parcel of land. It's actually a huge amount of state land around it. So that could be the state mowing that. I mean, they are proposing to seed it, so, you know, we're cool with that, then I would say that that's what we should support.
Mhm.
I have no
I
comment.
drove by it the other day and it looks like their proposal to demolish it is fine with me.
Yeah, I see no reason not to take it down. It's just how long will it sit like that? And, you know, is there any, you know, maintenance plan as far as, or standards by which they might keep it looking decent until they decide what they're going to do with it?
Well, there is property maintenance issues. I mean, you know, if it does get unsightly, they don't maintain it, then we have to go after them under a property maintenance violation. So yeah, so there are methods to get them to keep it properly, but they're not always the easiest things to.
I don't have any issue with it then.
We request that they put in 2 or 3 trees. So it's going to be vacant for a while.
The only, we can, certainly, the only problem you do is you start to put some trees in there and then you come in there with a plan that those trees are being removed. We don't know what that site plan is going to be. We don't know if it's going to be a drive-through facility, if it's just going to be a little small office building or whatever it might be at this point. So
Yeah, the only reason I was bringing that up is if it looks like it might, if there's some reasonable concern that it's going to sit vacant for a long time period, then
I think once the building's down, I
Mhm.
think it will be more actively marketed. I think what they were trying to do was market that property with that building. And that building people didn't want to have anything to do with because it's basically an old gas station type of facility.
okay.
I mean, if anything, I would say they could consider a wildflower mix that might make some pollinators happy and be a little bit more aesthetic than overgrown grass. So
Well, hopefully it won't be overgrown. You know, that's the key. Hopefully they'll they'll maintain it. You know, that's what
Yeah.
we hope.
Right.
And that's what we have to, you know, basically monitor.
Yeah. I think it's fine.
All right, so are we all set then that this is okay?
Yeah,
Okay. I guess we are. All
Okay,
right.
so basically we don't have any comments. Correct?
So we'll move on
Correct.
to 11P02-20, the application of the University of Rochester for site plan modification to install a new backup emergency generator. And that's at 250 East River Road.
Yeah, we don't have anybody here for this project. However, basically it's a simple removal of the existing emergency generator, which basically, if you are looking at what Brett just put up on the screen, sits basically where you're seeing those trees being removed. It's kind of to the south of that area, kind of tucked up by the building. Actually, I'm sorry. If you go further down, you'll see generator pad by where the existing generator sits. So it's yeah, right where the hand is right there. So that's where the existing generator pad is now. And that generator has become obsolete. And what they're going to do is replace it with a larger generator.
Mhm.
Brett, if you go down, I think, to the next page, to the site plan page,
Mhm.
right there, and you can see basically right where the hand is, right there is where the new generator is gonna go. So there'll be some removing of grass, some removing of existing trees. They're proposing to plant some Norway spruce. I think that's what they called out for there along that northern portion of that. And that's really about all it is until they have to increase that area in order to get that larger generator in that location. So that's where they're removing some grass, not a whole heck of a lot, but there is some removal of vegetation in there.
All right, comments?
Do we like the Norway spruce that they're proposing? George?
I think they're a durable species. I know they're not native, which isn't our most favorite thing, but they're durable to what goes on. So I don't know how George feels about it.
All right. I mean, they get bigger than white spruce, broader, more of a screen, but they're not native species, but
I don't think they're considered an invasive problem necessarily. So I don't have an issue with it from a tree standpoint on my end.
Thank you.
Good, thank you.
Anything else anybody has to offer on this?
Guess I'll just note they're taking out 4 and putting in 6, so that's a good thing. If I'm reading the plans right.
Yes, you
Good.
4 removals and 6
more
replacements.
and bigger trees, so they're using it, which is good.
Are we all set with this? No? We good? Okay,
Yes.
all right. So no comment. EMC report?
The last EMC meeting was a presentation by Tom Snyder, who's with the Seneca Park Zoo Society. He did a presentation on iNaturalist, which is a counting species app, and talked about an urban ecologist program through the Rochester City School District, encouraging youth involvement. And I've talked to him in the past about mowing procedures. And he did talked a little bit about that, about how a lot of communities are mowing too much, and you can get away with, instead of mowing 2-3 times a year, you can get away with mowing, alternating mowing every 3 years to encourage pollinator habitat and, just lessen the burden on staff, stuff like that.
All right. A green report? Nope. Staff report? New
No
business,
report.
old business.
Just one thing to, a brief update. The tree inventory project is ongoing. We have the town survey app that Rory put together and that Brett has updated is available, and people are testing it out. We're getting plenty of feedback related to mostly members of the conservation board trying it out. But we're starting to work up a plan for how we might do this at scale. This is part of what Rick had sort of suggested, I don't know, a year ago perhaps at this point. It'd be nice to be able to do a big portion of the town tree inventory kind of at once. We talked about doing it this spring, then COVID intervened. So I guess we're kind of on track for next spring. But how much we can get people together to train them and then send them out there, and to what extent we can do this using high school students, depends on the whole COVID situation. But I've talked with Becky Cotter about rec department courses for training groups of people, and I'm getting some of the equipment ordered and things like that. So it could be that we are ready to go in the spring. There certainly has been a learning curve in terms of setting up on this. You can read stuff or watch videos that describe how you go about this process, but every situation is somewhat different, and figuring out for ourselves what the logistical things are that need to be figured out has taken a bit. And then we have the unexpected aspect of COVID, and we're not sure to what extent that's going to be an impact on planned spring activities. So just so you know, we're I think we're in good shape, but we're kind of on pause now, other than a little bit of demoing because the trees have pretty actively lost most of their leaves now.
All right, thank you, George.
Real quickly, are you looking for volunteers or promotion of this yet? I know Color Bright and Green is asking. Not yet.
No, I don't think so. I mean,
Okay.
it'll be, well, when do the trees have enough leaves? May probably, before we can really do it. Even you can't train people until you have leaves on the trees either. So I think that's the time frame.
Okay.
So we should talk about it again, but I think that's where
Okay.
we're at right now.
All right, we'll go on to the tree removals. I have a tree with my papers that's not listed on the meeting agenda, which is the 207 Ashborne Black Walnut, which is a proposed removal because of repaving.
That is
I
mine.
think that's what Alicia's here to talk about. So maybe we'll give
Right,
her
Elise.
the floor and let her explain the situation.
Okay, all right. So I'm originally from Canandaigua, and I work here in the area. I'm a sign language interpreter. So this is my first property. I am concerned about the root system, which you probably saw in the notes. That's really what the property damage has been caused by, is the root system from the tree. Really, it was brought to my attention that the previous owners were planning to repave the driveway, but seeing the length, width, and the price tag that comes with that, they were kind of deterred from doing it. However, that being said, I would be concerned mostly about the danger of removing that root system and having the tree become unstable. The arborist had mentioned that the balance of the tree was already leaning towards my property as is. So to remove that root system would definitely be a high risk as far as, that is concerned. So I'm not sure what your process is as far as payment and who is contracted to do that. I did get an estimate already. And I have someone who's willing to do it, but I would just like to know more about that process to get that moving forward.
All right, Rick, would you field that, please?
Yeah, well, basically the trees in front of us for our review in terms of whether or not we feel that it warrants removal. If the town tree warrants removal, then the town would certainly take the initiative and remove the tree. However, if the town does not feel that the tree is warranted to be removed, then it would fall back on the property owner to pay for the removal of the tree if the town, after a public hearing, felt that it was okay to take down a healthy tree. So the question now is whether or not this tree is healthy, will survive, and whether or not it in our opinion, and we do have an arborist report on the tree, on whether the tree council is in agreement with that arborist report and that the tree should be removed, or whether or not the tree council feels that the tree should be not removed. And then it would go on to the next step in which the property owner would request removal of a healthy town tree and the process through that. So there's kind of two different processes that you'd be dealing with. The process of we feel that the tree is not healthy and should be removed, or whether or not we feel the tree is healthy, and then it falls onto the homeowner to prove the burden of removal.
Well, certainly is obviously a healthy tree, Alicia.
I think what we need to do is I hope everybody got was able to read the arborist report, and then that is the town's arborist. that we hired to do a report on that. And then we can determine from his report and the knowledge of the board on what the next step should be.
What would you like to do, Alicia?
I would prefer to have, I was considering just having the root system removed, but I am just concerned that the tree, especially for the height that it is at 40 feet, I think that removing the roots for that is just, that's not going to be the end of the story there. Especially with some of the high winds that we have experienced. I know 2 years ago when, you know, several trees fell down on the RIT campus. I mean, those were of decent size as well. So I think that taking out the root system is just, it's not going to be the end of the story for that tree. I think that it probably does have to come down. I don't like taking down healthy trees either. And I understand that that's kind of the predicament here. But I would just hate for it to damage anyone's property, mine, my neighbors. People park on the street down here. There's lots of kids, there's lots of dogs. So I would just hate for, you know, anything to happen to anyone or someone else's property because of that. So I would like to have the roots taken out. Obviously you don't know until you get under there and dig it up to see if it is part of the neighboring tree. Because there was note of that and I saw that. So that is kind of impossible to predict until we get to there. But I think if we can either take it down and maybe repurpose it, I don't know if the town can do anything with the tree and just kind of take it down in pieces and repurpose it. But I'm flexible either way. I would just like to have a solution to that because of, you know, the risk of it and everything. He did mention there was some dieback on some of the branches. It's probably much easier to see now because all of the leaves and all of the walnuts have fallen. So I don't know if they want to re-inspect it and take a look at it, but they're welcome to do that as well.
I have a question. Would it be possible to remove some of the asphalt away from the base of the tree and some of the asphalt on the road? Maybe make the entrance to the driveway a little narrower? Would that be acceptable? And then redo the driveway?
It's really already tight and it's supposed to be 2 cars in width and it's already pretty tight. And so the tree does already prevent access to the driveway as it is. So if we shorten the driveway, it would only be 1.5 cars width. And so that's not really helping me having paid for the property and also any resale value as well. It would reduce to creating a single drive space.
One thing that I noticed when I looked at it is that it's growing under the canopy of the tree next to it. It seems crowded in the space that it's in.
Yes.
It seems out of place. And you know, with the towns wants the trees spaced out more, this one just seems kind of crammed in there. From my perspective, when I looked at it in person. If you look at the tree next to it, it's only, I don't know, 20 feet away, maybe, if that.
Well, it does say in the arborist report that they expect it may be a sprout from the large walnut to the left of it.
Yeah.
So that it may never have even been intentionally planted.
Yeah.
I'm assuming
That's
from
what
that
happened
statement in
to
the,
Black walnut.
yeah.
Yeah, that's black walnut, sorry.
As
And
far as
by
the
the
health-
way, it's worth mentioning as far as repurposing, black walnut makes beautiful furniture.
Mhm.
Right.
So I think though, it just seemed like an out of place tree that wasn't supposed to be there. And I know it's healthy. And I mean, it's not dying, but just an odd tree to be where it was.
Right.
Yes, yes.
My
I would
observation,
not object to removal.
yeah.
Go ahead, please.
I was also going to say, even though it is healthy, the fact that so many of its roots are under the driveway and are likely to be further damaged when repaving happens, and that it's listed as moderate to high risk, if I'm reading this correctly. And that this arborist who we contracted with says, you know, the highly recommended mitigation would be to remove it and grind down the stump. That would be my inclination, would be to support that.
I'm on board with that as well.
Yes, and I am also.
If I could make one comment, I live on Ashborne also, up at the intersection of Ashborne and Branford. And that's just a beautiful section of street there where you drive through and the trees are overhead. Very, very nice. I know you have to deal with the walnuts and in your situation with the roots and so on. But, you know, that's my opinion.
So,
Yes.
David, David, are you in agreement with the
yes.
okay to remove?
Well, maybe I'll abstain. How's that?
Okay. So you're not in agreement. That's fine.
Well, I wonder from the comment that Mitch was making, if this one is underneath the canopy of the other, will it alter the canopy effect if this one is removed, if the larger tree that's not very far away from it is still there?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not familiar enough with the street to be able to comment on that.
I didn't see, like, it seemed like it wouldn't affect the canopy much at all. And, you know, I don't know, is there a tree in front of your lot on 2-7 in your yard?
There are two in my yard. One is right on, I guess, what the border of my neighbor's yard would be.
Okay.
And then there is another one right to the left.
Okay.
Well, if you're facing my neighbor, it would be on the left, but on the right as you enter the driveway. Those are not walnut trees. Those are different.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see this one having too much of an impact on the canopy, because there's a bigger one too, as you're looking at the house to the left.
George? Comment?
No, this seems like it covers it.
All right.
And Susan?
Yeah, I'm good with what the arborist said. It seems to just be a child of the next door one that probably should have been chopped down earlier, taken out earlier. So
So Brett's kind of giving you a little view here. So the two trees that Alicia was talking about, Brett, if you just come pan a little bit further. Other way, there you go. Oh. Were these two smaller trees in their front yard.
Mm-hmm. So we have at least a majority view to support the arborist and remove the tree.
I would appreciate that.
Okay, and we will issue that to the Commissioner of Public Works. And you might want to touch base with him in a few days, Alicia, to see what the next step might be.
Is that Mike Guyon?
Yes, it's Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Okay,
sounds good.
thank you.
Okay. Thanks for coming by.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on to the other two trees. The 88 Branford Road tree, the 64-inch silver maple. You have comments about that one?
This is an odd tree. It seems, I didn't think it was in that bad a condition as what the pictures showed. Maybe they pruned it up. It's also pretty well into their yard. Are we sure it's a town tree?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty far into the yard too, but according to everything we have, that it is a town tree.
It was almost in the middle of their yard. I mean, I didn't step it out because I didn't want to walk into their yard, but it seemed pretty far.
yeah, it is pretty far in.
It's just a really big silver maple that has some pretty heavy limbs that if they go down, they're going to go down towards the house. As all these silver maples are. it's definitely alive. And I guess there's some damage in there I couldn't see from what I was looking at. Maybe it looked different when there's leaves on it. It's just a really big, thick tree with lots of branches that could come down if it decides to go in the middle.
But the
I was on
arborist,
the, go ahead. I mean, this was just a weird one because it was, it's a not highly recommended to remove it.
Yeah, we had
Pruning.
we had the report from the town tree guy who basically says it's high risk and it should be removed. And
Okay.
then there was the arborist report regarding the tree. And according to the arborist, it is unlikely the tree needs to be removed. We can eliminate the future possibility of failure by managing the tree due to the location and condition of the tree. So the arborist is saying, well, you probably, if you want to, you can mitigate the risk and possibly save the tree.
One thing that struck me is that the arborist plan also involved checking it twice, doing major pruning and checking it twice a year and after heavy windstorms. And that seemed excessive. I mean, it just seemed like a lot for one tree that we already have concerns about and has already lost a major limb and could cause, would cause damage if it fell. I don't know if others reacted to that as well.
Sounds like an annuity.
Yeah. Yes. So what do we think? Do we want to keep this tree alive, or do we want to replace it with a native species?
These silver maples just seem like they're just going to drop anyway. We put a lot of money into these big ones, and if the homeowner doesn't want it, I'm like, why not just start with better trees? But that's just my opinion. I have a personal grudge against silver maples. I guess I should keep my personal views out of it. They're just so messy and they just create so many issues.
Yes,
Right.
I agree with you, Mitch.
I mean, if you read the letter from Mike right at the beginning, he just talks about that, in his opinion, he would like the tree to be removed. Town report indicates that the tree at 88 Brantford to be removed and replaced, whereas the arborist report highly recommends a different course of action. He's inclined to remove the tree because it has moderate to high risk and it's a silver maple which are prone to failure with little warning. So we have the arborist that we hired out. We have the town side of it. Town seems like they want to get rid of it. The arborist says, well, if you do all these things, you can possibly save it. Expense, time, etc.
Okay.
I think just kicking the can down the road, if you ask me, with a silver maple that's spreading out everywhere, doesn't have a strong central trunk. It's just going to rot out the middle anyway when the water gets in the
And that has damage and what fell as well, from that last photograph.
And the branches that could fall towards the house are pretty decent size. If you look at what it could do. So.
Well, that's three of us. Is there a fourth? For
Who are you counting in the three?
You and Mitch and me. No fourth?
I'm sorry,
Well,
what did you say?
Asking if other people support removing it.
Yeah.
Okay. That's enough. I guess we support.
Susan and Dave, do you?
I'm okay with that. I mean, it is obviously, well, there are two of them in that yard. They've obviously both had substantial pruning already. So I could go either way, but I don't have a problem if it comes down.
If it was my tree, I'd probably try to save it, but as a recommendation that we take it down, I can't really disagree.
Mm-hmm. And your tree you pay to maintain. The town's tree we all pay. Yeah, so, all
I
right.
support Mitch's point of start with something young and robust that can grow rapidly and be
Yeah.
less of a risk.
Yes.
All right, bottom line, I guess we support the town. The 207,
207 was just, was that what I sent over to you this afternoon?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just Mike letting us know that that's being
yeah,
taken down. It's a dead tree.
that third one's already dead, so.
Yeah, yeah, he just wanted us to know that that was the plan for that tree.
Okay, so that's it for this meeting. Does anyone have anything to add? No, I'll hear a meeting to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
All in favor? All right, we're adjourned, and thank you all for your work tonight.
Our next meeting is December 8th. Is everybody good?
Yes.
Yep.
All right, great. Have a
Okay.
good Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good seeing everybody.
Take care.
All
Take care, guys. Thank you.
Yep.
Bye.